Mexico is one of those countries where you can't really just deal with speaking English. My flight... As you notice, they only speak Spanish in the speakers here in the plane, and it was the same in the terminal. And they didn't even put this the gate number on the signs, even though there was room for it to put it there. They never told me which gate I was going to, so I had to wiggle around and try to ask people which one it was. Twice I was in the wrong in line at the wrong gate, but I managed to find it. So on the speakers, it was only in Spanish, never one word in English, and apparently the same thing applies here. But I found it, and I'm now on the flight, and I'm going to Cancun. And I am so looking forward to that.
This is the Radio Vagabond.
Hi there. In this episode, we're going to a touristy place, or should I say, one of the most visited places in Mexico, Cancun on the Caribbean coast of the country.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Aerobus Captain Arely Chavez, First Officer Abraham Cuevas, and the cabin crew, welcome aboard flight 1144 bound to Cancun Airport. Our estimated flight time will be 2 hours and 10 minutes. We will fly at an altitude of 37,000 feet above sea level.
Okay, I'll take that back. They do speak English on the flight, or whatever that was.
In this episode, I'll focus on taking you to 3 places: a Mayan temple, Isla Mujeres, a coral diving experience, and a museum. Wait, that's 4 places, you say? No, I say that is 3 places. I'll explain more a bit later on. And then I have some facts about Cancun, some tips on what to do and how to do it, and at the end, I'll talk about it being too Americanized or not. This is the Radio Vagabond, episode 203. My name is Palabo. Welcome to Cancun on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico.
Estimados pasajeros, por su propia seguridad, les solicitamos permanecer sentados hasta que el avión se haya detenido por completo y el capitán apague la señal.
If you look at a map, Cancun is super close to Cuba. So, is it the closest point? I'm gonna give you a quick fact that might get you some points in a pop quiz or on Trivial Pursuit. Here's the question: what is closer to Cuba, Key West, Florida, or Cancun, Mexico? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Meanwhile, let me remind you that the Radio Vagabond is supported in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best deals on hotel rooms, guest houses, hostels, and apartments all over the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed. So, 2 peninsulas, the Keys in Florida and the Yucatan, embraces the Mexican Gulf with Cuba at its entrance. So what's closer to Cuba, Key West, Florida, or Cancun, Mexico? And the answer? Key West is 151 kilometers, 94 miles, from the closest point of Cuba, and Cancun is a bit more, 206 kilometers, 128 miles from Cuba. So no, Cancun is not closest, but still, it is close. And that'll give you an idea of where we are. White Caribbean beaches, lots of palm trees, and beautiful weather most of the time.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
2 things I really enjoy doing is visiting a local art museum and go scuba diving. I want to do that here too. So what do I do first? Well, I decided to do both at the same time. But first, let's have 7 surprising facts about Cancun.
And now, facts about where we are.
You know how it burns your feet when you come to a tropical beach somewhere in the world? Well, not here in Cancun. The 14-mile-long, shimmering white sand beach is actually not made out of sand. as we know it, it's crushed coral, meaning that it will naturally feel cool underneath bare feet, despite however hot the weather. It is a major tourist destination that attracts a whopping 700,000 people every year. And that's almost as many people as live here. The population was 888,000 in 2020. But that was not always the case. As late as 1970, the official population was only 3. Not 3,000, not 300, no, 3 people. And they were not in the tourism business. They were caretakers at a coconut plantation. Now it's different. The city has 4,674 hotels and around 30,000 hotel rooms. When you're in the bustling hotel zone, you will notice an enormous Mexican flag, or as they call it here, Gran Bandera Mexicana. It's made out of the same material used to make parachutes, probably to make it lighter, but it's still quite heavy. 228 kilograms, a bit more than 500 pounds, and it took 40 strong Mexican soldiers to raise it up a 105-meter flagpole, 344 feet. This is impressive, and it's something you can see in other places of Mexico, as it's part of a program started in 1999 called Banderas Monumentales, Spanish for monumental flags. They're a collection of tall flagpoles located throughout Mexico. When Hurricane Wilma hit Cancun in 2005, she wrecked 8 miles of its beautiful beaches. And Cancun without a beach isn't really much of a tourist attraction, so it underwent a major beach restoration project in 2009 and 2010. They added 1.3 billion gallons of white sand scooped up from the seabed to the coast. And it was not cheap. The project cost $70 million. Each May, thousands of turtles return to their original home here in Cancun, as turtles do, to lay eggs on the beaches, and their nests are located right in the heart of the hotel zone. Thankfully, the hotel owners, employees, and even us visitors help ensure that the eggs are protected and safe from harm. So if you happen to go in May, areas of the beach are close to tourists so that the turtles can go about their business in peace. Between then, May and September, you can also see literally tons of whale sharks in the waters just off Cancun. They're absolutely massive, some of them the size of a bus, but they're completely harmless and they'll happily let you join them on a swim. We all know Australia's famous Great Barrier Reef as the biggest in the world, but number 2 is right here. The Mayan Barrier Reef is the second largest coral reef in the world, and one of Cancun's major draws with stunning marine life, swaying corals, and crystal clear turquoise water. Great for snorkeling or scuba diving.
And that was Facts About Where We Are.
And speaking of scuba diving, that's what I want to do right as I get here. But I'm also going to a museum at the same time. That's really hitting 2 birds with the same stone.
Hello guys, sorry. You certified divers? Yes. Yes? Everybody? All? Yeah. All right.
Let me explain what's going on. Thanks to the hands of British sculptor Jason DeCaris Taylor and 5 talented Mexican sculptors, you will find a series of breathtaking underwater sculptures located between Cancun and Isla Mujeres. This underwater museum of contemporary art consists of over 500 life-size sculptures, making it one of the largest and most incredible underwater artificial art attractions in the world.
My name is David. I am an instructor on board. Okay?
Good. So you're going on the...
Yeah. I
cool.
go on board. I just stay here.
And as you see, I've only had 10 dives so far, and I haven't been diving for a year, so I'm glad.
At the dive center, I get registered and chat a bit to some of the other divers.
We're about to go on a dive here, and I'm here with Frank, Patrick, and Audrey. Tell me a little bit about when have you been diving before?
Well, I got certified in the Philippines, so I dove in the Philippines, and then I used to dive quite a bit in San Diego off of the kelp beds, and we'd go down and shoot fish with the Hawaiian sling, the spearfish. And then I dove in the Gulf of California before, and then Patrick and I went 2008 to Key Largo. We dove the reefs of Key Largo, so we're looking forward to this dive. First time I've been to a museum. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, because have you done a lot of research about this museum, what it's all about? No, not really. I just saw...
Just along for the ride.
Yeah. I just saw a video of some statues and a Volkswagen Beetle model. So it's going to be amazing.
The CANCUN Underwater Museum holds an interesting blend of sculptures ranging from people standing in a circle looking at a sky, a group of men with their heads buried in the sand, to two sculptures of actual beetle cars. And maybe the most impressive, a group of nearly 450 human-sized statues standing together in a big group on the bottom of the ocean. It was so weird and almost eerie swimming around that. This museum, and yes, it is a museum, has a total of 500 sculptures, and some of them have beautiful corals growing on the artwork. And it was actually the objective of the project to save the nearby coral reefs by providing an alternative destination for divers. To place the sculptures on the ocean floor, they had a special lift made, so none of them would be damaged during the move. A 40-ton crane was placed on a commercial ferry in order to lower the sculptures. Some of them are so heavy that they had to be lifted into the water using lift bags. And here's another cool thing. The sculptures are created with pH-neutral marine concrete and are created above ground and cleaned before taken underwater, so they don't have any chemicals on them that may harm the water, the animals, or the reef. It is truly remarkable and a must-see if you're a diver. And if not, you can still see a lot from snorkeling or going on a glass bottom boat tour. But scuba diving is the best way, and as I glide through the waters, I found myself deeply transfixed to the well-thought-out themes. The real lifelike sculptures made it the most surreal diving experience I've ever had.
Okay, we were in the same group down there, so what do you think, guys? We just got up now.
Yep. Oh, I see it. That was just amazing, just delightful, and I think I saw my first car down there too.
Yeah. I didn't know there were. I knew about there should be a beetle down there, but there were two cars. Yeah.
It was the old Beetle and the new Beetle.
Right. Yeah. But when we came to the place where there was all these statues, it was almost like the terracotta warriors in China. It was almost kind of spooky.
It was.
It was great. And a lot of fish and turtle and stingray.
I didn't see the stingray. Yeah, I didn't either. But the turtle was very, very nice. Yeah. That was good. And the parrotfish all grouped together. And you could almost touch them. Yeah.
It's in the waters between CANCUN and the small island Isla Mujeres. And that's where we're going next on a day trip. We'll be right back.
Hello, Radio Vagabond listeners.
Hey, we are big Pollybo fans. Ideally, we're all on our journey, just like Polly, to a life we design. Whether you have kids or an empty nester, we invite you to check out our podcast, The Open Nesters.
Our unique podcast explores personal, intellectual, physical, sexual, and spiritual journeys of life as we reinvent ourselves at this stage of life we call Act 3. Palebo is an inspiring traveling nomad as this open nester, and you can hear him as we interview him on episode 10.
And if you like to hear from others who are writing Act 3 of their lives, please join us every week for a new episode, which is available on every podcast platform and on theopennesters.com. I'm Amir.
And I'm Tessa, and we'd love to have you with us on the journey. We feel certain it will also become yours. Visit theopennesters.com.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
And the prices are better here compared to other places.
Just want some breakfast first, and then maybe come back.
Yeah, like I said, I can give you very quick information, walk around, then you decide
please do.
to get back. This is what we do. We're here.
Isla Mujeres, the island of women, is a wonderful place to visit when you're in CANCUN. This sleepy but vibrant little island has become quite popular in the last few years. It's only a 20-minute boat ride from CANCUN, so it makes for a great day trip. And a few days after my dive in the underwater museum, I went back on a boat to go to Isla Mujeres. I was there with a good friend who flew in from Denmark to join me for a few days. And right off the boat, we run into one of the locals, Jose, who's trying to sell us a trip or two.
This is the basic package, and with the musas, that will be, the
How much is the basic package?
For you guys, $20 each.
$20 each.
Lunch is going to be included.
Okay. Let's just have breakfast, and I'll find you.
Yeah, my name is Jose.
Okay,
I'm going to be right here. We're leaving at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning.
After breakfast, we went back to Jose and actually went out snorkeling for a few hours. You can do the same. Get off the boat and just speak to Jose or one of his friends, or you can go to the link I put in the notes. TripAdvisor has a list of a bunch of suggestions.
Okay, now I have arrived to Isla Mujeres, the small island off the coast of CANCUN, and as soon as you get off the boat, there are tons and tons and tons of people trying to sell you tours or rent you a golf cart or something like that. I just spoke to Jose, one of the locals that had a tour, and I noticed that it's at $35 US per person, but he said he would sell it for $20. So that's not too bad, and that's a few hours with snorkeling included, and yeah, that looks interesting. But first, breakfast. Gracias.
Isla Mujeres is a beautiful, peaceful paradise, and it's more laid back than CANCUN. The island is only 8 kilometers long, that's 5 miles, and only half a mile wide in its widest point. The colorful downtown area, known as Centro, is 4 by 6 blocks, perfect for exploring by foot. It's small, but it doesn't mean that there isn't plenty to do. You can fill your day with water sports, shopping, exploring, and making new friends in that special atmosphere that is Isla Mujeres.
You can see pictures, videos, and links and read much more on the RadioVagabond.com. You can also send a few lines to Palebo and get featured on the show. Tell him where you are and what you're doing right now as you're listening to these words. Just click on Contact on theRadioVagabond.com and fill out the form.
Life is short, and there is so much to explore. I won't let a second go to waste. Yeah, time goes fast. I better step it up now. Take some chances, cut some roads.
I'm here at the car rental company Dollar, and I'm trying to rent a car, and for some reason he says that I didn't pay what I paid, but it's in my receipt, and it's there in black and white or blue and white on my receipt from rental cars, and In fact, I even paid more, according to the exchange rates. I paid more than what he says I paid. So now we're trying to figure it out.
The reason I'm trying desperately to rent a car is because we're planning to go on a trip to another must-see in the area. Chichen Itza is one of the most visited archaeological sites in Mexico and welcomes over 2.5 million visitors every year. You can reach it by car, bus, or with different tours. It's just 200 kilometers, 120 miles west of CANCUN. I decided to drive myself, and that's why I'm spending the better part of an afternoon trying to rent a car.
So what is happening now is that when I'm renting a car, it needs to block some money off my credit card in case something happens and I should skip away from it. But I have insurance and I'm not buying insurance, and it's 52,000 Mexican pesos, which is almost $3,000 US. And obviously I can't pull that kind of money out of my credit card in one day, but it's not being pulled out, it's only being blocked. And now there's a problem, and he says the reason it's so high is that you don't have insurance, that's why the deposit is so high. But I already have insurance, and I'm not going to pay double for the rent of the car. Already I had to pay the extra fee to take it to the airport, but even though it didn't say anything on my receipt that I should do so, and this is just plain ridiculous. I've been here an hour and a half already, and I don't know exactly what's going on.
But finally, I succeeded, and the next day we could head west with the wonderful sound of Mexican radio commercials blasting on the radio.
Profesionales de la belleza en un mismo lugar. Citas al 998-361-7513.
Chichen Itza translates to "at the brim of the well where wise men of the water live." From Mayan, Chichen Itza was one of the most important city-states in pre-Hispanic America. It's a well-known archaeological site, and even more so after being selected one of the new 7 wonders of the world in 2007.
It's around 2.5-hour drive from CANCUN to Chichen Itza, where I am now with a good friend. And driving here is about 2.5 hours, and around an hour before, somebody waved the car into the side and said that we could get a free map of the place, and I knew that of course they wanted to try to sell something, and they did, but it actually turned out to be a good deal. Normally when you get to this place that has millions of tourists every year, you can end up waiting in line in your car for like an hour. In the package that we bought, there was a small way around it, so we got to a place where there were absolutely no line. It was including parking, wonderful buffet, lunch, and entrance to the whole area itself. And it's been absolutely smooth sailing up until now. Right now, where we're at the big temple, which is a big pyramid, we can see that, okay, there are a lot of people here, but this has only been up to here. And now there's a lot of merchants selling all kinds of things carved out of wood and jewelry and all kinds of souvenirs from Chichen Itza. And the whole package was only around $55, which was a very good deal. Normally, I would think, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should just wait until we get here. But this actually turned out to be a good deal. So if you're coming from CANCUN and driving that way, don't say no when somebody's trying to sell you this package. It's absolutely worth it.
Chichen Itza is divided in Old Chichen and Chichen Itza, where you can find 6 ruins in the Old Chichen section and about 20 Mayan ruins in the New Chichen or Chichen Mayan Itza. making it a total of 26 Mayan ruins to see on the Mayan site.
I'm here at Chichen Itza with a guy who really speaks Mayan. So is your Mayan descent?
Yes.
But every day you speak Spanish?
Yes, my family, all my family speak Maya.
Yeah. What's your name?
Santos.
And you taught me before how to say how much is that in Mayan, and that was
in the language Maya, bajush.
So, bajush.
Wal 20. You know wal 20?
No.
120 pesos.
120 pesos.
Yes, wal 20.
Yeah.
Just for you, 100 pesos.
100 pesos.
Wal in the language Maya. Wal is 100. In the language Maya, 200 pesos, hawal.
Chichen Itza was a large pre-Columbian city built by the Mayan people of the Terminal Classic period that dates back to the year 600 to 900. It was one of the largest Mayan cities, and it may have had the most diverse population in the Mayan world. And that's probably why you see so many different architectural styles on the site. The Big Pyramid, or El Castillo, is the most astonishing Mayan ruin or building inside the archaeological site. This temple dominates the center.
Did you hear that? I'm in front of the Big Pyramid now, El Castillo. And when people are clapping, it makes a very funny echo on the other side, coming back, saying, dear, dear. There's a group behind me now.
General admission to this UNESCO World Heritage Site is $27 for adults and $4 for children. But it might also be worth spending a bit more on a guided tour. I put a link to their website where you can see more and book your tickets. Just look in the notes on your podcast app or on the radiovagabond.com. Or you can do like I did. Before you get to the site, stop your car and listen to what the salesperson has to see. It might just be a good deal. I've heard many people say that Cancun isn't really Mexico. Yes, Cancun is infamous for being Americanized, but if you ask the locals, it's really just another face of Mexico. Mexico is a proud and very diverse country, so don't let people tell you that it's not the real Mexico, because it is. It is just as real as any other part of the country, if you ask the Mexicans. I spent some time in Monterrey without that many tourists, and then I went here and saw a totally other side of the country. And I'm so glad I did both. But I still have a lot more to see, so I plan to come back to Mexico for more later. Now I'm heading to Naples. No, not Italy. I'm going to Naples, Florida. And then I plan to visit Key West, Miami, and Orlando. And maybe a few other places too. That's coming up in the final episode of this season. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.